The department's guiding value when using force shall be reverence for human life.
The latest shooting left a Hispanic man dead in the West Valley this month after reports he was darting in and out of traffic and acting aggressive. Instead of going down, the alleged suspect reportedly grabbed the beanbag gun from an officer and fired. That's when officers say they shot and killed him.
When somebody is shot dead over a routine traffic stop, that's nonsense. We have to be better than that.
And I know, Chief Beck, I've seen you out recently. You're trying, and I can tell, and I like that. We have to work together.
Decide whose side you're on. Whose side are you on? Are you on the side of white supremacist, patriarchal, heteronormative capitalism? Or are you on the side of the people? Do you stand for Ezell Ford or do you stand for Steve Soboroff? Who do you stand for, Matt Johnson? Stop being scared.
Johnson has also called for a study of the last 10 years of officer-involved shootings in L.A. and a study on the use of force in other police departments. Other proposals include increasing the use of non-lethal weapons and creating an audit plan on the use of body cameras.
I believe that this agenda absolutely supports where the department needs to go and actually where the profession needs to travel.
It's a delicate balancing act, finding a way to keep the officers safe while keeping the community safe as well. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
Chief Beck said he is planning to create a Preservation of Life award for LAPD officers who show extreme restraint in use of force situations. Well, let the bidding begin. With the recession well behind us, a number of public works construction projects are up for grabs to qualified contractors. But as Gil Reyes reports, you'll have to register online first.
From building bridges to sprucing up streets, things are looking up in LA's construction trade.
I'm just happy the city is putting out projects so that people can bid.
Sharon Coleman operates a small construction firm with 12 employees. She and others take part in this workshop near USC, looking to gain a competitive edge in the battle for city contracts.
This event called How to Do Business with the City of LA as a Construction Contractor. And it goes through all the necessary paperwork you have to fill out to submit your bid. And all of this paperwork you can find online.
The first step is to register with the city's Business Assistance Virtual Network at labavn.org. There you'll find a list of projects accepting applications. Click your choice, then print and fill out the necessary forms. You'll be asked to submit expected completion dates and cost estimates for your project. Good luck.
It's our goal to open the doors of opportunity. We have a lot of work that's happening and that will be happening in the future, and we want to ensure that our contractors have an ample opportunity to participate.
The city has recently set aside $7 billion for new construction permits, projects that are either underway or ready to begin. Clients include the Port of LA and the DWP.
But because there are so many projects going on, they're all super large. So trying to get projects for the smaller contractors.
Actually, we do business with all sizes. I know that there may be this notion that the larger contractors might have a leg up, but we really want to reach out to those small businesses as well.
Giving them a fighting chance in the battle of the bids. Near USC, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
Register at labavn.org to get started and to stay updated on upcoming projects. Well, a state of emergency as LA struggles with its homeless issue. Anna Marcos brings us more on the growing crisis and city leaders' latest decision.
House keys, not handcuffs. House keys, not handcuffs.
A rally in the shadow of City Hall for a homeless issue that has turned into a crisis. Demonstrators cried out for more humane treatment of the homeless by police and for more permanent housing solutions as the number of homeless continue to rise.
Instead of supporting those people who most need housing, our city criminalizes them.
We're saying if it is a crisis, treat it as such.
It's a cry the LA City Council can no longer ignore. Up before council members a list of motions, among them a move to declare a state of emergency for homelessness in LA, which would make it easier to find more shelters in parking lots and buildings.
We have come together and have agreed as a council that this is one of the most important issues that we are facing.
Other motions included a plan to provide public storage for homeless belongings. Another law would amend the city code and decriminalize the homeless. There was also a motion to start a $100 million housing fund.
We do not want to say you're going to be penalized because you have no place to put your few possessions.
We must do everything we can to help the homeless individuals while making sure that we don't disrupt our quality of life in the city of Los Angeles.
But other residents say their rights must be protected as well.
In my nice neighborhood, we have people who have no place to sleep come into vacant homes and set fires. It's not a good idea.
The encampment is right next to my business. We have been dealing with this problem for several years, and it's getting so bad. They basically walk into our business, steal things. We call the police. The police don't come for half an hour. They get away. They are very combatant. They have assaulted me.
Council members approved all the homeless measures before them. The city attorney will now draw up the plan before final approval by the city council. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
City leaders say the new plan will still allow them to dismantle homeless encampments. They estimate at least 26,000 people sleep on the streets of LA. Well, a refreshing, pampering experience is helping passengers take the stress out of travel at LAX. Rasha Goel takes us to the mini beauty sessions.
Yana, it's where pampering meets travel. Now, let me tell you, I'm here in the Tom Bradley Terminal at the Bobby Brown counter. I just experienced a 2-minute makeover to beauty, and I'm feeling amazing. Now, this is just what I experienced, but passengers and travelers who are about to board a plane can come in here and experience this, as well as many of the new things happening here at the Tom Bradley Terminal.
It's all about pampering as part of the multi-billion-dollar modernization program at LAX. Social media influencers had the chance to get a behind-the-scenes peek at the stylish changes.
We invited a whole bunch of social media influencers, folks who really follow the beauty industry and trends, invited them here to Tibbet and are asking them to try some of the products, try some of the services, and share it with the folks that follow them.
That included a massage from Express Spa, a full-service spa at the airport.
They come in, they don't even realize we're here, and they come in and they realize, I don't have to stress anymore.
Now this is a perfect way to start your trip.
And after some relaxation, social media influencers also got to see the exciting things happening at the duty-free shop, along with learning about Bliss, which is one of the only freestanding and first one of its kind at LAX.
They're going to be able to get a taste of everything, whether it be body products, whether it be firming products for their body, for their face. They're going to be able to travel with the products. We have a lot of traveling size products, and they're going to be able to recognize the products that they see in the spa.
I mean, this is just amazing. You can't be more relaxed than this.
The duty-free shop also had a Christian Dior pop-up exclusive to LAX. From makeovers and makeup to fragrances and hand massages, it was a pure treat.
So you can actually come to the Tom Bradley Terminal. You can get a makeup lesson. You can get a facial, a mini facial. Again, you can get a massage. You can find products specific to traveling, and you can find gifts.
And with LA's iconic store, Fred Segal, it's a true LA experience. Who says you can't be pampered while traveling? Now you can when flying from LAX. I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
Well, it's a day of recognition for LA firefighters who go into burning buildings and dangerous situations every day to keep Angelenos safe. Anna Marcos takes us to the LA Fire Department's awards event.
It was a day LA Fire paramedic Miguel Meza will never forget. 2 children trapped 30 feet underwater inside a car that had been driven off a pier in San Pedro. He had to rescue the children in waters with zero visibility.
With 2 children of my own, my heart went out to the kids that were stuck in the car submerged. So I went down, got in the water, and dove as hard as I could to get down to get to them.
Meza did rescue them, but it was too late. They did not survive. But that act of heroism has earned him a Medal of Valor at the LA Fire Department's yearly awards banquet, the highest award for LA firefighters.
One of the definitions of valor is extreme personal risk. That's what the definition is for that particular award. he displayed that at that incident. That's why he's getting it.
The 33 firefighters earning awards have organized Christmas toy drives for children, saved people, animals, and even each other from burning buildings, swollen streams, earthquake ruins, and electrified water. This emergency created a recipe for disaster: a car accident, downed power lines, and a gushing fire hydrant with 2 women lying in the water.
We automatically figured that the water was electrified.
10,000 volts of electricity cycled through the water, but firefighters risked their own electrocution to save the women.
Well, we slid her away off the water, and then the paramedics started working on her.
And then I went in for the second victim.
The victims did not survive, but many do survive because of such heroic deeds.
You have put yourselves in such personal peril to do your jobs so that others could live.
Daniel Apodaca wasn't even on duty when he saved 3 men whose boat had capsized on a stormy lake.
If I had fallen over, my boat would have blown away, and I would have been right there with them. And
you saved all 3?
I managed to get all 3 guys into the boat.
33 heroes who went beyond the call of duty this past year to make us all a little safer. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
Other awards presented were the Medal of Merit, a Community Service Award, Special Commendations, and a Lifetime Achievement Award, which went to retired Fire Deputy Chief Reynaldo Rojo. Well, are you following Mayor Eric Garcetti on Instagram? If not, you should be. Rasha Goel has more on your mayor's creative side.
Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti is a busy guy. But even as the mayor of America's second largest city, he's plugged into the powers of social media. He's a prolific Instagrammer. He was recently dubbed the mayor of Instagram by Mother Jones magazine. His photos provide a new perspective of Los Angeles.
And as mayor, I try to give a little bit of a personal view of Los Angeles. The view from the car of a parade, a neighborhood that maybe a lot of Angelinos haven't been to, a moment of triumph or beauty in my city. So it's kind of a, love song for Los Angeles from your mayor.
Titled #Mayor of Instagram, his pictures were recently on display at Take My Picture Gallery in downtown Los Angeles.
He's a really good photographer, and so we decided that, maybe it's time to take the images off the computer and put them on the wall and really feature his work as a photographer in addition to being the mayor.
Unlike the social media accounts of many politicians, Mayor Garcetti's Instagram belongs to a real human being, one with a hobby interest in photography.
His work is kind of spellbinding.
And for those who didn't want to miss a picture from his personal collection, they were available for purchase for $100 each. I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
Profits raised from the sale of the work went to the Los Angeles Public Library Photo Collection and Homeless Healthcare Los Angeles. Well, it's always good news when park-poor areas in LA get a little more green put in. Councilmember Kern Price is slowly building up those spaces in his South LA 9th District. Anna Marcos takes us to the latest groundbreaking.
South LA kids will soon get $6 million worth of more park spaces to play in here.
Do any of the children play soccer? Yes, raise your hands. Hi. All right. Well, let me tell you, sometimes soccer fields get tired. Sometimes the grass goes away. Sometimes it rains and it gets muddy. But with this new soccer field, you're not going to have any of those problems.
All this dirt in what was formerly known as South Park will soon become a synthetic soccer field.
Tens of thousands in the area, and there's no green space. There are very few green spaces, and so that's why this park is so important.
This future synthetic soccer field will save the city of LA 2 million gallons of water a year, and it's hardly synthetic at all. It will be made of green, earth-friendly materials.
It's an organic material, and it's a volcanic ash, so it's going to be safe to play on.
But there's more. The park will get walkways, lighting, parking, a newly renovated palm tree promenade, and something to keep kids cool while they're having fun in the summertime.
Well, we're bringing a water feature back that will be for the children of this area. And a nice splash pads going in there that will be nicely designed, where people will again be picnicking and recreating underneath those palm trees.
And there are yet more of these projects coming up. Several South LA parks and rec centers will get new playgrounds, new soccer fields, and other upgrades in the next year. so that kids in South LA can do what kids at any park love to do, play. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
South Park, by the way, was once an historic park and one of the oldest in the city. Its rec center was built by Paul Williams, once a renowned architect to the stars and the designer of some of LA's most iconic buildings. While new AmeriCorps members take the oath of service, LAFD reveals a test pilot vehicle that does double duty, and one LA City Councilman makes sure residents in his district have a happy Thanksgiving. All these stories in City Beat.
And we'll get things done. Congratulations, AmeriCorps.
Mayor Eric Garcetti administered the oath of service to nearly 100 new members of AmeriCorps who will provide tutoring, college and career counseling to young people at schools and community centers in some of LA's most underserved neighborhoods, from Watts to Pacoima. In an afternoon ceremony held at Los Angeles Police Department headquarters, Mayor Garcetti welcomed them to a year of service in a program funded by 3 major grants awarded earlier this year.
And there's an interaction you're going to have with a young person in this year who's going to say something that knocks your socks off, that changes your perspective, that makes you just stop in your tracks for a moment to realize and to recognize that this isn't just about what you're going to be giving them, it's about what they are going to be giving to you.
The Los Angeles Fire Department recently unveiled its new Fast Response Vehicle Pilot Program. LAFD Chief Ralph Terrazas joined City Council members Felipe Fuentes, Bob Blumenfield, Mitch O'Farrell, and other officials at the Frank Hodgkin Memorial Training Center to introduce 2 new vehicles, which will have both firefighting and first response advanced life support capabilities. The units will serve the North San Fernando Valley and the Central City Pico Union Echo Park area to provide efficient and flexible fire and emergency medical services in some of the city's busiest areas. The 6-month pilot program is designed to measure the impact and effectiveness of these new resources to determine if more vehicles will be deployed across LA.
We are achieving faster response times to emergencies and keeping other fire engines and ambulances available for the next run.
Councilmember Gil Cedillo joined with various community groups at Fire Station 13 in Pico Union to pass out turkeys to families in need. Cedillo's annual turkey giveaway provides families with a turkey and all the fixins to prepare a full Thanksgiving meal. More than 200 turkeys were donated from the council district office with the assistance of the Los Angeles Fire Department.
It's a little opportunity for us to give back to the community, a community that deserves so much and that has been so supportive.
A holiday tradition returns as downtown LA rings in the holidays with outdoor ice skating all season long. Gil Reyes has more from Pershing Square, which has been transformed into a winter wonderland. Gil.
Well, happy holidays, Yana. Yeah, the 18th straight season for this Pershing Square ice rink, the first of 2 downtown LA ice rinks. The other one is over at LA Live. And what a way to kick off the season. Of course, there's Snoopy and all these kids.
Good grief, he's back. Snoopy ushers in the most wonderful time of the year at downtown LA's original outdoor ice rink. Miesha Aaron and other kids from the inner city are among this year's first guests. Miesha never gets the chance to lace up the skates back home.
It's South LA. It takes a while before you get to go places like this.
This kickoff ceremony draws professional skaters like Olympian and 2-time world bronze medalist Tiffany Chin, who loves her holidays LA style.
Trees, the sunlight, the warmth. Oh my goodness, the warmth.
And of course, there's this 4,500 square foot rink in front of the Biltmore Hotel. You should see it at night with all the holiday lights aglow, a very festive scene worthy of a Christmas card. Skating admission is $9 per hour. Bring your skates, or if you don't own a pair, you can rent them here for $4. Some of this season's highlights include Holiday Hounds on Ice, where pets are invited, a fundraiser to benefit Children's Hospital, and DJ Thursdays, where you can spin and skate into the night.
It is getting bigger and better every year, and that's due to the great community that we have that rallies with us.
to spread the word and bring more people.
There will also be a night set aside for LA singles, a way for bachelors and bachelorettes to break the ice. At Pershing Square, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
The rink will remain open till January 18th. For a full rundown of times and programs, visit holidayicerinkdowntownla.com. Well, magical holiday lights transformed the LA Zoo into a winter wonderland. The spotlight shines on Hollywood during the annual Christmas parade and a chance to catch a classic on the big screen. All this and this week's Things to Do. After going dark in 2009, holiday lights returned to Griffith Park, this time at the LA Zoo. The zoo's fest will find visitors trekking through the front half of the festively illuminated grounds on foot. Though most of the animals will be asleep, you'll be able to see reindeer and sit for a photo with Santa. There's a charming premise that ties everything together. A group of LED monkeys have commandeered a Christmas tree and the zoo's power supply. The glowing animal power cord they've draped across the grounds electrifies everything from the desert floor, laced with lights, to a purple disco ball-filled forest. Check it out at the LA Zoo, on now through January 3rd. Actors and television personalities Eric Estrada and Laura McKenzie host the 84th annual Holiday Christmas Parade. Since 1928, millions of people have come to Hollywood Boulevard for this annual star-studded event, providing the best in family entertainment. Marching bands experience their own dose of star treatment in the parade's telecast zone when they march down the biggest red carpet in the world. Bands are a highlight of the parade that also includes celebrities, floats, and giant character balloons. Clay Aiken and Taylor Hicks are among the musical acts scheduled to perform. The parade will make its way down Hollywood Boulevard on November 29th, starting at 5 p.m. For more, visit thehollywoodchristmasparade.org. And here's your chance to revisit the best love story of all time and see Gone with the Wind in all of its glory on the big screen. Southern Vixen Scarlett O'Hara, Vivian Lee, only has eyes for sensitive Ashley Wilkes, Leslie Howard. But wisecracking Hellraiser Rhett Butler, Clark Gable, is determined to win her heart, even if that means surviving the burning of Atlanta, the destruction of Scarlett's beloved Tara, and the overthrow of the Old South itself. Relive the magic of Gone with the Wind on Saturday, November 28th at the Egyptian Theater located at 6712 Hollywood Boulevard. For more, visit AmericanCinematicCalendar.com. And that's a look at some things to do. Well, that's going to do it for this edition. I'm Yana Kay, and from all of us here at LA This Week, thanks for joining us. A reminder that you can catch us online at lacityview.org. You can also follow and like us on Facebook. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
What if a disaster strikes without warning?
What if life as you know it has completely turned on its head? What if everything familiar becomes anything but? Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed today.
Don't worry, Patty. This isn't going to hurt me one bit. Hi, I'm Dr. Eric Shapiro in beautiful Encino, and you're watching LA City View, Channel 35. Our city, our channel. Open wide.
Good morning. Good morning. Shh. Good morning. It is Wednesday, November 25th. I want to welcome you all to your Los Angeles City Council. This council meets every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m., and the public is welcome. Mr. Clerk, I believe we have a quorum. Could you please call the roll?
Blumenfield, Bonner, Buscaino, Cedillo, Englander, Fuentes, Harris, Dawson, Weezer, Koretzka, Corin, Martinez, O'Farrell, Price, Rue, Wesson. 12 members present and quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you. First order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
O'Farrell moves. Martinez seconds. Next.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Rue moves. Harris Dawson seconds. Next.
Mr. President, the Department of Building and Safety recommends that item 1H be received and filed inasmuch as the lien has been paid in full, and the Office of Finance recommends that item 2A be received and filed inasmuch as the lien has been satisfied.
Okay, so without objection, that'll be the order. So please continue.
Very good, sir. Items 1 through 8 are items noticed for public hearing.
Do we have cards?
Yes, sir. Cards on items 1, 2, 3, and 6.
Let's hold those items and vote on the remaining items. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Continue.
Items 9 through 25 are items for which public hearings have been held. A committee report for item 23 has been circulated. However, that matter should remain on the desk for an amending motion, and a motion is required for item 24.
Okay, let me go to Mr. Koretz.
I'd like to call item 13 special.
13 for Mr. Koretz. Mr. O'Farrell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to call item 9 special.
9 for Mr. O'Farrell. Mr. Weezar.
24.
24 for Mr. Weezar. So let's hold those items and the other. And 14 and 22. So we can we can vote on the remaining items. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That brings us where, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. President, items 26 through 33 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay, so without objection, those items are before this body. We have cards.
Yes, sir. Cards on items 26 and 32.
Okay, let's hold those items. Vote on the remaining items. Members, specials? Any specials? Don't see any. Let's prepare to vote. Let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That brings us where?
Mr. President, given that the Thanksgiving recess is upon us, would you like to send all items today forthwith?
Good idea, and yes, I would.
Very good. That brings us, or takes council back to presentations.
All right. Okay, let me take a couple quick items. We'll do item 6. Mr. Walsh, item 6. And we're going to also do 32, Mr. Walsh. So we'll start off with item 6.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org, tweeting at Hollywood Dems. Item 6 concerns the lighting on Highland Avenue and Hawthorne, a lighting district. This, I've lived in that area since 1976, and as far as this lighting district, it is not adequate. We had a Russian tourist just a block away have his throat slit by a white homeless person and or a white transient. He may have had a home. I just want everyone to know, if you live in the Hollywood Highlands street lighting district near Hawthorne, you may be attacked, you may have your throat slit, but don't worry, the PD is on your side.
Stay on the lights, stay on the subject,
well, I want
which
to know,
is the lights, Mr. Walsh.
I want to know how I can protect myself in the lighting district without the New York Police Department saving my life.
Okay, you're off the subject. Thank you. Members, let's prepare to vote on this item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Mr. Walsh, we're on item 32.
As you can see, the fascism here.
No, you're off the subject again, Mr. Walsh.
Relative to the various properties from the REAP account. And this, as you know, helps us because the REAP is very good. If somebody doesn't keep up with fixing your apartment and it's out of code, then REAP comes in and they take your rent until the code is brought up. Considering the fascism here, I'm finished. And I would really tell you what I think.
You're off the subject. You're off the subject. Let's prepare to vote. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Ms. Martinez.
Mr. Clerk, let's move on to item 2.
Item 2, call special for cards.
Item 2, Mr. Previn, are you here? Item 2, sir. 2C to be specific.
Good morning, City Council of Los Angeles. It is Eric Previn, a resident from CD2. And item C is a lien for $6,801.83. I looked at it. It's mostly, it seems, penalties and other sorts of pesky details. This is a good organization, though. I happen to know these people. What is going on? And why is there no council district assignation, I would ask the city clerk, on all the other items, except for one, there are. It's very strange because it sends the signal that we're concealing that information if we don't share it like we do with others. And by the way, all of these particular liens catch an ordinary resident's interest because we are very familiar with the program whereby debt to the city is forgiven by lawsuit through the Budget Finance Committee, through the team up in Office of Finance, which has raised more than just a few brows, it's worth noting. And so, you know, this constant drumbeat, some of these guys are obviously troublemakers. In fact, I noticed that the very first group, Big Picture Group, LLC, this group has a very low Yelp rating, let me put it to you that way. And, you know, people, I just don't understand why this is in our public meeting in the place of many other more important things. This is like it's like, you know, they say in our culture we should, if you see something, say something. But I see something down here, and I'm saying something. This is a weird activity. Can't this happen in private? I mean, just a strange thing to be doing in front of our constituents. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The next speaker is LA, the initials LA. Did someone sign up with that name? Seeing none, we close. There are no more cards for item number 2. Mr. Clerk, let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Thank you. Mr. President, are you ready for your presentation, sir? Go right ahead.
Please come on in and Madam President and members, we members have special moments. Can I get some quiet, Madam President?
Sergeants, can you please help me keep the council chambers quiet? Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. President.
Because I have some very, very important people to present to you today, and I would hope that the individuals that are in the chambers today would listen and learn about these folk that stand behind me and beside me. When I started, I said there's certain special things that we get to do as council members, one of which is to honor individuals that have contributed so much to this great city. And sometimes those people are just dear, dear friends. So it is with great pride that I present to you Lula and Erwin Washington of the Lula Washington Dance Theater. Please give them a round of applause. They are a world-renowned organization. They have traveled throughout this world. They have received awards, and this is, where's Erwin? Erwin, I do want to rattle off some of the awards that you and Lula have received, but my staff played a joke on me, thinking that I had 27-year-old eyes. So I'm going to do the best that I can just to rattle off some of these. You know, Lula was honored by our First Lady, Maria Shriver, with the Minerva Award. She's also received the Sisters Award from Spelman College, the National Education Association's Carter G. Woodson Civil Rights Awards, the LA Women's Theater Festival's Integrity Award, and I could go on and on and on, but I do want to say she received the Artistic Vision Award for Dance Association, Heritage Award from the Black Business Association, and the Community Excellence Award from the National Congress of Black Women. This nationally known, internationally known troupe has traveled to Germany, Spain, Kosovo, Mexico, Canada, China, Russia, and all over the United States. Lula Washington, that stands right beside me or behind me today, was asked to come in and create the movement, the choreography for the movie The Little Mermaid. Many of you have seen the great James Cameron movie, Avatar. It was this dance theater and Lula Washington that brought to life the characters. And what was the queen? The queen. No, the princess. Natiri. Well, if you saw it, you see the elegant movement. That's Lula's work. They also have alumni that have studied with them. We have an assistant for Erwin who went on to become a judge in Atlanta. And Olivia Mitchell, where are you? Raise your hand. Olivia Mitchell's niece, grandniece, as part of this, went to China and is currently in New York studying dance. And there's so many other performers that went on to do Lion King and a lot of the phenomenal plays that we all have seen. So we all know them, and they're great, and they received honors, but I knew them when. I knew them when, because they've been in operations for over 35 years. We met in this very building. When Lord knows if they ever believed that they would travel the world, and trust me, I had no belief that I would sit in that chair or any one of the chairs around this horseshoe. When, as a young student at Harbor Community College, born in Nickerson Gardens, Lula Washington goes on a field trip to UCLA and gets turned on by dance and applies to go to UCLA, and they tell her, listen to this, members, they rejected her because you're too old. You never hear that today, but she was 21, 22 years old, and they felt at that point in time that you were a little old to get engaged and learn dance. But they appealed, they fought hard. There was a professor that just broke down and said, if anybody is going to bug me this much, then we need to let them in. And Lord knows we want to give him or her a round of applause, because that was the beginning of this great organization. I can remember when Irwin, in fact, Lula, I can't feel you. And Irwin, close. When they would perform on makeshift stages, audiences of 17 people or 12, scraping by on small fundraisers. If we were lucky, we might raise $700. Or Irwin says, or less. But we never gave up, and we we kept going, and we were all young. If I had maybe $1 for every little performance I went to, I could afford a first-class ticket to Hawaii. But they kept the dream alive, and they had this star dancer that performed with the troupe that happened to be their daughter, Tamika. I mean, she was, let's give Tamika, raise your hand. She was like, whatever they performed, she was the star dancer. And now she is a principal instructor for the dance troupe. Let's give Tamika a round of applause. You have come a long way as well. And it's just cool for me to stand with friends from way back. Irwin and I were talking early. Remember the first struggle? For years, we fought to try to find a space. And see, I'm not looking at any notes here. I'm trying to go. I mean, so we tried to find office space everywhere, primarily in the 10th District. I can remember on Adams, they were in a structure. I think either it was torn down or burned down. Earthquake. But we just kept going, and then you had a nice facility on Crenshaw, and it's still going strong. But there was a lot of struggle, but a lot of reward. And when you look at the lives of the young people that they have touched, not just the ones that have gone on into the theater, but the ones that stand before us as lawyers and doctors and that are very performing important jobs in our society and doing phenomenal things to, as they rise up, to stop, turn around, and pull other people up with them. Because of Lula and Irwin, there are a lot of young kids that could maybe be on drugs or never go to college, never be productive human beings, but because of the two of you, they live good lives. And there's a saying that if you can, along the way of your life's journey, if you can touch someone and help someone, then your life has not been in vain. Ladies and gentlemen, they have touched hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of lives. So it is my honor and my pleasure to present to you my #1 dance troupe in the world, LA's own Lula Washington Dance Theater. Give them a round of applause. And I want to present to you a resolution from the City of Los Angeles, signed by each and every one of us seated around this horseshoe, recognizing all of the phenomenal work that you have done. And just to say, as an old friend who grew up eating peanut butter and jelly and watching you struggle, and us maybe giving my $11 at a fundraiser, and have watched you grow and turn into a world-renowned dance theater, is just unbelievable. Ladies and gentlemen, give them one more round of applause.
Mr. President, we have one member on the queue.
Is that all?
So far, Mr. Price.
So I just called out members. I called you out. This is 35 years of service.
Thank you, Mr. President, for bringing the Lula Washington dance troupe to us today. And I don't care, you know, if the organization is in the 8th district or the 10th district, depending upon redistricting, they are still a resource for our whole community, a resource for Los Angeles. And so I'm happy to stand to also celebrate and just appreciate the importance of this dance troupe and what it's meant to Los Angeles. And as you said, you know, the thousands of individuals who've been touched by it, directly and indirectly, hundreds of thousands, certainly indirectly. But those individuals who were students, who provided services, you know, in addition to being a grand supporter of the arts, you know, it's also been a thriving small business, you know, and you supported hundreds of other small businesses and entrepreneurs over the years. And so I'm just happy to stand and salute you for all that you mean for this community. We're proud that you got your roots in South LA. And though you may go worldwide, you have never forgotten where you came from. Keep up the good work. We appreciate the leadership that you and Irwin have played, and family, over the years. It has been a family affair, and one that has embraced this whole community. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Price. We have one more member on the queue, Mr. O'Farrell.
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. President, Mr. Wesson, thank you so much for bringing Lula Washington and her family and her troupe in today. I moved to Los Angeles just a couple of years after the Lula Washington Dance Theater was formed to pursue a life in the arts. And for a number of years, I was a professional dancer. And so we have that in common. And once you've been a professional dancer, you can't imagine what your life would have been like without that, because it becomes so much a part of who you are. And that stays with you forever. You are just one of the many artistic companies, nonprofits, that really help define Los Angeles as a world-class arts community. And you have helped define that as much as any other arts organization in the city of Los Angeles. What a legacy you have left this city, and what a legacy you continue to carry forward for all of us to enjoy. It is the arts that make Los Angeles worth living in, and no one should forget that. It's the arts that help illuminate for everyone else things that aren't explainable otherwise. It's the arts that break through barriers. It's the arts that obliterate barriers and help bridge misunderstandings cross-culturally. And Lula Washington Dance Company, as much as any other, has helped define that as a principle, a value for all of Los Angeles. So I thank you for all you've done, and it's not hard. It's not easy being a dancer. And this is truly a labor of love, and I'm someone who understands that at the cellular level and all that you've given to the city. So I stand to also express my gratitude for all that you've done for the benefit of this city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Farrell. Mr. Wesson?
I have to mention, and I apologize because I didn't highlight Erwin enough. He's a genius in his own right. And you see him standing here, he's got a nice smile. He looks calm, cool, and collect. He's always like this. And even when you're worried about how we're going to pay the rent, he was always calm and cool and knew that it was going to get done. Imagine, and many of us have partners like this that tell your partner, you go on, live your dream, I'll take care of the other business. And he's been a rock, and he is seldom recognized. He's done a lot for the city of LA and cultural affairs, helped write a master plan, served on panels for grants. And so and like I said, the thing I like most, I've never seen him upset. I've never seen him sweat. He's never been angry at me, and somehow he just keeps on going and gets it done. So with that said, is it gonna be you, Lula? Is it gonna be her? Who's gonna say a few words on behalf? Lula?
I'm going to say a few words.
No, I'm going to move and let you just go on.
I'm just going to say a few words. And those words, first of all, thank you to all of you for giving this space and time today to celebrate an arts institution. We are an institution. We own our building. We don't have to pay rent. We own it. So that is a stake saying that we have made an investment in our city. Our dance company has been basically to every councilmatic district performing, doing educational programs through the county and the city. So you all may not know it, but we've been in your area. So this is what we do. We educate through the cultural arts. We bring people together. The arts are part of the solution to a lot of the problems that the city has today. And please continue to keep the arts as part of that vision of the positive places and ways that it can support our young people. Give them a place to go. Give them something to do. This is why we are here. I wanted to give back, and because Erwin has made it possible for me to give back and for him to give back, he tutors and mentors young people in administrative arts administration, so that they are artists of color in arts administration. The last one that he really worked with was the director of programming of dance at the Music Center. She started in my little studio, they call the Funky Little Place, on Adams, when I was on Adams, and that's where she started. So we love what we do. We want to continue what we do, but the arts need the help and support of everyone all the time. So I'm just putting that out when y'all think about Christmas and holidays and stuff like that. The arts, there's the arts in your area that needs your support as well as us. So I'm not just speaking for me. I feel like I speak for many arts institutions that are in the city of Los Angeles. And I want to say thank you, and thank you to Herb. I never dreamed that I would be standing up here getting this from the first African-American black president of this city council. I did say something. Nobody clapped. This is amazing. You know, we've been around for 35 years, and we're really glad that this happened. And you all are wonderful people. I know you're real busy, and you sometimes wonder, what is this dance about? It's about education. It's about survival. It's about history. It's about culture. That's what it's all about. So, all right. And I want to thank Albert Lord as well. Our dear friend is always out here in our community making things happen. Please, thank you. And all of your assistants, thank you too, because you make it possible for your council person to do what they do. Make sure you keep the arts in front of them. Okay, thank you.
Let's give it up one more time. Thank you, Thank you, colleagues. We're going to go in the back, maybe take a photograph or two.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. We're going to move on to item number 3.
Item number 3, called special for cards.
Mr. Walsh, item 3.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org or J. Walsh Confidential, tweeting at Hollywood Dems. Okay, this concerns Burbank Boulevard Street Lighting District. The street lighting has improved in the city of Los Angeles incredibly over the 70s and 80s, when all I did was complain about the street lighting, the lights going off. See, when you do a good job, I'm the first to congratulate you for doing a good job. It's a little expensive for the street lighting district for my landlord, who of course passes it on to me in the yearly, to all renters in the yearly hike. But in any case, it's always a pleasure to speak in front of Nury Martinez, because when the speaker is dealt with respect, you get respect back, not like the other piece of garbage.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Next speaker, Eric Previn.
Yes, good morning, Council President Martinez. It's Eric Previn. Item 3 is in CD2, the district where I reside. This is a lighting district. Last week, as you recall, Mr. O'Connell and the other city attorneys were haranguing a group of people who wanted to offer protests for the lighting district. This one is also a protest. To be specific, this is 22 units in one building, 16 in another building. So the 22-unit building is the kind of senior voting partner. That's owned by a group called AJMO, A-J-M-O Burbank, LLC. When I Googled it, nothing came up. And, of course, the Terry Becker Family Trust. What they're doing is they're tagging this group for $1,900 as an assessment. When you divide that up per unit, it's about $50 a unit. I know exactly where it is. It's on Burbank Boulevard near Greenbush and a little bit to the east of Sunny Slope. So it's a nice neighborhood. They're getting a big light. Today they were putting up a light right on the boulevard, an LED. These are not those smart poles that the mayor has been talking about, as far as I know, and that group was very concerned about. And I was wondering, Council President Martinez, since you were leading the charge to shut down that protest, could we bring somebody from building and engineering down to address those concerns, maybe, just to sort of let everybody know that, that group was making some comments, there was some confusion.
Mr. Previn, you're not on the item.
No, I am on the item. So I'm asking if you would ask your team in the lighting district group to maybe make a presentation to clarify that. That would be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. And that concludes cards for item 3. Mr. Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Let's move on to item 22. And public comment was satisfied in committee. So, Mr. Clerk, the city attorney and LAPD gave a verbal report in the Public Safety Committee, so I move that we receive and file item 22. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Thank you.
Oh, we don't have to take the cards.
Mr. Clerk, let's move on to item 13.
Item 13, called special for Councilmember Koretz.
Mr. Koretz, I believe this item also, the public comment was satisfied in committee.
Thank you, Madam President. In front of you today is the nomination of the Mendel and Mabel Meyer Courtyard Apartments, located at 124th Flores Street in my district. And I'd just like to say a few words for the record about why it's so important that we preserve this property. Originally called the Milwaukee Building Company, it was built by the firm of Meyer and Holler, which was founded in 1906. They used the design-build model that's common today, and Meyer and Holler designed and built numerous apartment buildings, homes, hotels, banks, churches, and theaters throughout greater Los Angeles. By the mid-1920s, Meyer and Holler was established as virtually the exclusive builders of Hollywood's elite. Their work includes the Grauman's Chinese Theater, the Egyptian Theater, Mount Washington Hotel, Pierce Brothers Mortuary, Charlie Chaplin Studios, and the Getty House. The Mendel and Mabel Meyer Courtyard Apartments were built at 124 to 126.5 and 118 to 122.5 North Flores Street in 1936 and 1939. These properties are part of Beverly Square, a multifamily residential subdivision from 1928 on land that formerly served as a driving range. The courtyard apartments utilize an H-shaped site plan that creates a courtyard effect between the two buildings, and the units are accessed from Flores Street via pedestrian pathways into the communal open gardens. Each unit has a private balcony or patio. The properties reflect the economic distress and struggles of the Great Depression and how the firm diversified its projects without sacrificing the level of detail and workmanship for which they were known. Mendel and Mabel Meyer owned and developed both subject properties. Meyer and Holler is listed as the contractor for the 118 North Flores building. And most uniquely, the Meyers themselves resided there for many years in both buildings. Mendel Meyer is listed as the owner of 126 North Flores on the 1936 construction permit, and the 1938 city directories list the Meyers as residing there. Thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to your aye vote. And also, I want to note that there are a number of members here from the community in support. Maybe I could ask them all to stand up.
This motion.
Thank you. And so I'd like to move that we adopt and approve the inclusion of the Mendel and Mabel Meyer Courtyard Apartments located at 118 through 126.5 North Flores Street on the list of historic cultural monuments. Thank you.
And Madam President and Council, do we have a second on his motion by Mr. Huizar?
Mr. Huizar seconds. Great. Now let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Thank you very much. Item passes. Mr. Clerk, let's move on to item 26.
Item 26, called special for cards.
Mr. Herman, item 26, sir. Is Mr. Herman in the room? Mr. Herman, the longer you take, the clock's running out on you.
You know, Madam Clerk, you shouldn't be so rude after you got that special comment by Mr. Walsh. But if you go that route, it'll turn out to be a bad day for Thanksgiving, so you can stuff it. Now, let me go to item number 26, ma'am, since you're requesting me to hurry the hell up. I already lost my place here. 26, running the time even before I got to the podium. That's how indiscriminately segregated I am. But on here, CD5, 76, CD5, Peppa Pig has to do with communication from the Bureau of Street Lighting and the Ordinance of Intention of First Consideration. Now, Madam Speaker, am I on topic? Dion, for your information, I'm reading it right off, word for word, a beta. Present and adopt the approving Ordinance of Intention setting the date of January 27, 2016 as the hearing date for the matter of maintenance in Tarzana. Where's your representative Fuentes, the flunky? He's not even here to represent it. And I go on, but you know what? I'd rather not. Like John Walsh says, Hollywood Highland, I'll let you jerk it off, Dion.
Not
Thank
talking
you.
about the item.
Thank you, Mr. Herman. That concludes cards for item 26. Mr. Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Item passes. Item 23 is next.
Madam President, that brings us to item 23. There is an amending motion 23A that has been circulated and is now before council for consideration.
We have one card, but this public comment was also satisfied in committee. So, Mr. Herman, item 23, sir. Mr. Herman, are you speaking on item 23?
May
I just called your name.
I don't want my transition of words to be interrupted by the city attorney saying that I'm using, what was that terminology?
He is not talking about this item.
Okay, well, communication from the Mayor, Eric Garcetti, relative to the exemption of the positions within the Los Angeles, in America, USA, Mr. City Attorney, for your information, that within Los Angeles, the Department of Transportation, who has failed to provide mobility and access for all, has discriminated against people under the American Disability Act. But, however, and incidentally, as John Walsh would put it, service provisions for the city charter. You violate the city charter, Dion. You do due process backwards. You don't interpret what the First Amendment or my 14th Amendment right is, which is in order to speak and be heard during an absolute meeting like today, Dion. I'm not using transition words, or what did you call it, Dion? Come on, educate me. I'm ignorant. Look, Dion, there's even dancing at city because I'm in the play. Look, Dion, look, Dion. There you go. All right. Now that I got your attention, Dion, with my last 42 seconds, again, regarding the mayor's relative to the exemption of the 5 positions, just appoint someone who has the credentials to do the darn job. Is it that difficult? You got a bunch of people in the crowd who can fit that 5-man position, Mr. Mayor. You, Eric Garcetti, you need to listen. You need to follow the instructions of your legislative body. We the people.
Mr. Herman, you're not on topic.
I got 9 seconds. 6, 5.
Thank you, Mr.
4,
Herman.
3.
That concludes cards for item 23. Mr. Clerk, can you open the roll? Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Item passes. Let's move on to item 14. Mr. Blumenfield.
Accuse myself from this item. Recommendation number 7 includes a $2,000 grant to the Children's Museum, and my wife is president of that museum, so I need to accuse myself of this item.
Very well. So we'll take 2 separate votes. Mr. Blumenfield's walking out of council chambers.
And before you proceed, Madam President, we should ask if Mr. McQuiston is present. There's no response, so now proceed.
So let's take up item number 7 separately, without objection.
That would be recommendation number 7.
Number 7, recommendation 7, without objection. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Thank you. Item passes. Now we can vote on the remaining recommendations on item 14.
Let's wait till you get back in.
And Mr. Blumenfield can come back into council chambers. Thank you very much. And so now let's take up the rest of the recommendations under item 14. Mr. Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Item passes. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to now move to item 24. Mr. Weezar, We're going to start off with you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, as you are aware, we had a long conversation and discussion on the mobility plan, and we also came back to closed session and further discussed some legal issues involved with the mobility plan. Some ideas were raised as to what would be the next step. We then discussed the matter in Plum and Transportation Committee. We had a joint committee. The Plum Committee voted to rescind the vote that we took in Council in support of the mobility plan, and to then adopt the mobility plan as adopted by the Citywide Planning Commission. The Transportation Committee had no recommendation. So today, I'm not sure if we need to rehash the whole plan again, but it's more procedural at this time. We understand that some of the amendments that were made by our colleagues, the planning director has agreed to make a director's initiated amendment to the mobility plan should it be adopted to the Citywide Planning Commission. And depending on the type of amendment, whether it is simply technical or changes a few words, that could be heard in February. More substantive changes or amendments, the planning director, Michael LeGrand, has informed us that those items can be heard at the CPC by February. I'm sorry. The other ones could be heard in December. The more substantive ones can be heard in February. Colleagues, so I ask that we adopt the Plum Committee report and seconded by Mr. Bonin, and that we note and file the... Do we need to note and file Transportation Committee if there was no recommendation, Mr. City Attorney? Or City Clerk?
Yes, you can certainly do that. It is a formal report that's before you.
So the motion is to move the Plum Committee report, which rescinds the mobility, our action on the mobility plan, and adopts the mobility plan as approved by CPC, and note and file the Transportation Committee report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Huizar. Mr. Bonin.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to concur with exactly Mr. Huizar's recommendations on the way to move forward and make sure that we enshrine this plan and make sure that we're on the soundest legal footing moving forward. But I also want to take a moment to remind us all what this plan is about. This plan is about mobility in Los Angeles. This plan is about giving people an opportunity to get out of the increasing soul-sucking gridlock we have in the city. It is about stopping the process we have now, which forces people into their cars and gives them an alternative. In Los Angeles, right now, 47% of the trips in the city are 3 miles or less, and 84% of those are made by vehicles. And that doesn't make a lot of sense in a city that has 300 days of sunshine and is relatively flat. So this plan puts a premium on mobility by enhancing a number of different types of networks in Los Angeles. There are streets. There are 79 miles of streets that are going to be made higher priority for vehicular traffic. There are streets and networks that will give higher priority to goods movement, streets that will give higher priority to bicycles, streets that will give higher priority than currently to pedestrians. This is a plan about safety. This plan puts safety first. It literally says in the plan, safety first. One of the things it does is it helps us implement the Vision Zero strategies to eliminate the horrible track record the city has of pedestrian deaths and fatalities. It fast-tracks and expands the number of safe routes to schools we have to make sure that our school children are not hurt or maimed or killed on their way to and from school. This puts a priority on infrastructure, green streets, environmental safety, or environmental protection, and it also calls for the speeding up of repairing our sidewalks in Los Angeles from a 30-year time frame to a 15-year time frame, certainly something everybody can get around. It puts a premium on equity, and it uses data to make sure that the improvements we're doing are based on where the greatest need is. And it also improves our transit stops. Right now, we don't have enough people who have access to transit. And there are so many people in the city who do not have the ability to afford a vehicle or afford to pay for gas. This plan, if fully implemented, would put 90% of the people in Los Angeles within 1 mile of a transit stop. 90%. That is a game-changing thing. This plan was sound, when it came to us. This plan is sound today, and I look forward to this body ratifying it so we can get this plan officially on the books, and then we can work through methodically and in a legally proper and responsible way all the various amendments specific to districts that folks on this body have. Thank you very much.
And Mr. President, pardon me, amending motions D and E have been submitted and circulated for Council's consideration as well.
Mr. Englander.
Thank you very much. I couldn't agree more. But I do have some concern, and I just want to voice that. I shared it during the last committee, and I'm going to share it again because I know some out there who have been really working hard, quite frankly, on reaching out to the various stakeholders, particularly those from the different mobility advocacy organizations. I support all of these ideas and concept, except for the fact that one of the changes that we brought in, which is being thrown out because of the litigation and sent back to the CPC, there's one that was very critical to me, and that was that the stakeholders in every community actually have a say in it, and that each element comes back to the council as well. Obviously, we can't include that now until it goes to CPC, and then it would all come back here, and I would support it then. But having said that, we can't do that now, and so if we're going to receive and file B and C, I would request, if I can, Mr. Huizar, as a friendly request, not an amendment, but as a request, if we can simply, what we did in committee is we bifurcated the two votes. If we can do that, because I really would like to support the Director of Planning initiation, if we could then take two votes, one on just 1, 2, and 3, and the two amendments that were set forth today as, well, the two amendments could go in either direction on either under number 4, well, they would actually go under number 4. So the two amendments that were just submitted today would go under number 4. So if we could add two votes, just one on 1, 2, and 3 on item A, and then a separate vote on 4 and the two amendments, I would appreciate that.
Let me take a look at that. Yeah. Okay. It's the same vote that we took in committee, correct?
Exactly.
Yeah. We could
just a different way of doing it since
today.
We won't be voting on B and C.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you're okay?
Yeah.
So to reiterate that and make sure the clerk has that, it's we'll be voting then on A, 1, 2, and 3 on one vote, and then number 4 with the amendments on the second vote. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate
Mr. President, it's been my understanding that there's been a request to send those amendments to committee. If that is in fact the case, then those amendments that have been circulated, those are items D and E that have been circulated today from Councilmember Ryu.
Well, I have a question on that for Mr. Ryu then, just as an order of suggestion. I'm fine with that, except for the fact that it's saying be amending to support the Director of Planning initiation of the following additional amendments. And number 4 actually does that. It supports the Director of Planning initiation. And if you want those included in his direction, with all due respect, why send it to committee? Just let him do it and send it to CPC. Save a step. But
yeah, I'll be fine with that.
Okay. So then we should vote on, for Mr. Ryu, D and E under number 4. So the Director of Planning can include that in the initiation. It all goes together to CPC and doesn't separate from the other 6 or 9 amendments. So make sure.
Councilman England, I would agree to that. I just wanted to be careful and absolutely clear that the motions weren't lost in the mix.
Mr. City Attorney?
I would suggest, out of an abundance of caution, to refer D&E to committee so that they're completely separated from the procedural issue that the council is trying to get across.
That's fine.
So it would sound like
So it would actually be 3 votes then, is what the city attorney is suggesting, is 3 votes. I'm fine with that, but I think that is an overabundance of caution, but in the light of the day, I understand.
remember my comfort level.
Correct.
Let's call on Mr. Koretz at this point. In fact, is anybody looking for a cell phone that they might have left on my desk? Could you check?
It's an iPhone. I'll keep it.
Yeah, I could always use an extra cell phone.
I mean, no. I mean, did you? Yeah, here, Koretz, come take it. You can have it. Mr. Koretz, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to say, for the record, that I'm opposed to any actions until we've actually removed Westwood Boulevard from bike lane from this plan. And I'm assuming that without having done a formal motion that the promises that were made previously about hearing several amendments that are specific to districts in February still holds based on the action that we're taking today. But otherwise, on the main motion, I'll vote no on this and anything else until Westwood Boulevard has been removed.
Thank you, Mr. Koretz. Okay, Mr. Clerk, why don't you walk us through the sequencing of these votes?
Very good, sir. Mr. President, as proposed, you would have 3 votes. The first vote would be on the Planning and Land Use Management Committee recommendations 1, 2, and 3. The second vote would be on the Planning and Land Use Management Committee recommendation number 4. And the third vote, unless it is referred to committee, would be on amending motions D and E that have been circulated today from Councilmember Ryu.
Mr. Huizar.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would ask that we send D and E to committee. The fact that we're here today is because we've been sued on the grounds that we have been changing a direction from CBC, which would require us to send them back to CPC. And if I could have someone from planning, I think the whole concept and idea is that the current amendments are already in committee. And the director has assured us that any amendments proposed to this plan will go to CPC from a director's initiated report. So even if we send D and E to committee, they would still go forward, and planning is here, we could ask them now, they would still go forward to CPC either in December or February. So out of an abundance of caution, as we've been advised by the city attorney, I would request that we send D and E to committee because it's the same effect. It's the same effect. And planning department, you have these 2 amendments proposed today. We have other amendments that are in committee. The director, Michael LeGrand, who's not here today, but he has assured us that he's going to bring them to CPC. Would D and E also go to CPC in either December or February?
Yes, Ken Bernstein with Department of City Planning. Just wanted to reiterate the assurance that our director, Michael LeGrand, provided to the joint committee meeting that upon the council's action today, rescinding and readopting the mobility plan, the director will exercise his powers to initiate the amendments. The amendments, the 3 amendments that are in item 4, would be able to go to CPC in December. There are other amendments that were even more substantive, affecting segments of the network that required additional environmental review, and those would be heard by CPC in February. And that would include the amendments D and E being considered today. So if those are referred to committee, again, all of this would be considered by CPC, and once that occurs, they can come back through the committee and council process.
So Mr. Ryu, we have the same effect, and out of an abundance of caution, we don't know how the courts will interpret us adopting these amendments today. So, but if we send them to committee, we'll have the same effect that you would like, which is we want to make sure they're heard.
Mr. Ryu.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Councilman Huizar. Actually, that was the intent. I would love for D and E to go to committee. It was not to be voted on today, but to go to committee, and in committee, whether you combine them all together or whatnot. But I just wanted to be, as the city attorney stated, abundantly clear and just extra safe. But yes, it should go to committee.
Okay, so with that said, then Mr. Clerk, we would send Mr. Rue's amendments D&E to committee. Does that reduce it from to 2 votes? Or
Yes,
okay.
sir.
So why don't we start off with the if you could detail the first vote.
Well, first, without objection, would you like to send D&E to committee, sir?
Without objection.
Very good. So, Council's first vote then would be on the Planning and Land Use Management Committee recommendations 1, 2, and 3.
Let's open the roll, Madam Clerk. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes, 2 noes.
We can change your...
We're voting on it. We move so fast.
Change Mr. Rue's vote to a no vote. Now, the second vote, let me slow it down a bit. The second vote, Mr. Clerk.
That would leave the Planning and Land Use Management Committee report recommendation number 4 as your second vote.
Okay, no questions. Let's prepare to vote. Let's open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes, 1 no.
All right, so good work. Let's move on to the next item. Mr. O'Farrell, you want to do item 9?
Thank you, Mr. President. I think we have a slide that we can show on the screen, if I'm not mistaken, if it's queued up.
Go right ahead.
Okay, so item 9 is a report on the mosquito abatement issues. If I could, yeah, this is one of those things that hasn't
Just
really made it.
hold tight,
Yeah.
Mr. O'Farrell. Why don't we clear the council a bit? And if everyone could be mindful, the floor is returned to you, Mr. O'Farrell.
Thank you. This is an issue that really hasn't made it into the mainstream, but it's going to very, very soon. And that is, we have an invasive mosquito situation in the city of Los Angeles, in the county of Los Angeles, and in Southern California. Specifically, an invasive mosquito called the Asian tiger mosquito was found in 2 neighborhoods in my district, Silver Lake and Elysian Valley. There are 2 other mosquitoes as well, but I'm going to give some information on how to learn about this and also precautions that can be taken. But the reason it's really, really serious is that the Asian tiger mosquito is known to cause dengue fever and chikungunya fever, which there is no cure for and no inoculation for. Just south of the border, there have been hundreds of cases of these 2 diseases brought on by this invasive mosquito. And there is a website that I want to make sure the public has access to, and that's glacvcd.org, which is the Greater Los Angeles Area County Vector Control District. Again, glacvcd.org to find out information. Sadly, I have a constituent who is a kindergartner who is undergoing tests right now to see if he has indeed been infected with either of these viruses in Elysian Valley. So it's a very, very serious matter that we may not be aware of now, but we're going to very, very shortly. And there are precautions that you can take in your backyard. There's good news and bad news about this invasion. The good news is that their world is very small. The bad news is that they're very prolific in their ability to breed, and they bite during the daytime at all hours. And the image that you have is the type of mosquito that is seen. So I would urge everyone to log onto the website, learn about the precautions that you can take, such as emptying all of your containers of water in your backyard, getting rid of your saucers that are underneath your plants, because these mosquitoes can breed in water that is in a bottle cap with just that much water in it. And their sphere of circulation is just a few hundred feet, and that's where they spend their entire life cycle. So it will be easy to contain if everyone gets in on the game of stopping the spread of these invasive mosquitoes. So again, please log on to glacvcd.org. My office has held a community forum on this last month. We'll be circulating lots of information in my district about the threat that this poses for Angelenos.
If you would just take one extra moment and repeat the things that individuals can do for their backyards or what have you. Just walk through that one more time.
Sure. So, for example, eggs can lie dormant for several years on containers in your backyard, paint can containers that are abandoned, any sort of container that can hold water. Once it dries out, the eggs have been laid just above the water line. When you add more water, they can hatch and turn into larvae, which then become the mosquito. So in the coming rains, it's important to have a full inspection at your house, and you can actually have someone from Vector Control come out and do an assessment on your property. You can take the simplest precautions, like I mentioned. Get rid of all the saucers that are underneath your plants, your planters. Any form of standing water can breed these mosquitoes. Again, the good news is there have not been any confirmed cases of dengue or chikungunya but north of the border. But south of the border, there have been hundreds of documented cases. So it is in everyone's best interest to take precautions and make sure that we can limit or halt the spread of these invasive mosquitoes. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kretz.
You sure? Oh, Mr. President, I didn't hear my name called, but I just had a quick question which you may have partially answered, which is we've had several exceedingly dry years. We're going to have standing water everywhere in the city during El Nino. So are we looking at the mosquito issue as part of our El Nino planning? Do you know, since you've been looking at this issue?
The county will tell you. And by the way, you can organize a presentation in your council district, and they're happy to give a great presentation. They will tell you that these mosquitoes have actually proliferated during the drought. So they will also tell you that the Los Angeles River is not a major source of the mosquitoes. It's just standing water in people's yards for the most part.
To my left, can we get a little silence? Avak, your gang over there. Okay, go on, Mr. O'Fair.
So the impression I have from the presentation I got is that El Nino will have actually very little effect on these. But in terms of when it rains and when it doesn't, it's just good to stay on top of these precautionary measures that I talked about.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay, so let's vote on this item. Madam Clerk, if you'd open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
So, thank you. That brings us to item 1. I think the first one is Miguel Garcia, maybe? Please come forward, sir.
And, Mr. President, there's been a request to continue item 1C to December 9.
Without objection.
Yes.
Mr. Herman, please be quiet. It's not your time.
Can I have someone to speak English, please? Because my English is very poor. Yes, please. Sí, buenos días. Mi nombre es Miguel García. Sí.
Okay.
Sí, buenos días. Mi nombre es Miguel García.
Good morning. My name is Miguel García.
Y es la razón que vengo ahorita con ustedes es porque tengo un problema de que tengo argumentos de que mi casa es sucia y todo.
The reason why I'm here is because I have some arguments here. You say that my house is not clean.
Entonces me han dado ticket, pagué un primer ticket, $356.
So they gave me some tickets. I paid the first ticket. I paid $350.
Sí, y más adelante me dijeron que el ticket no estaba completo, que debo un resto.
Later on, they told me that the ticket was not complete, that I owe even more than that.
Sí, y entonces por eso ahora me está multando $550 más que no tengo dinero para pagar.
And now they're giving me another fine for $550, and I don't have the money to pay that
Y luego
fine.
me están adicionando penalties.
And they're giving me additional penalties.
Y la razón de esta carta es que pues, me lo mandan en inglés y no entiendo muy bien.
And the reason for this letter is that the letter is in English, and I really do not understand what it says.
Well, you know, why don't I jump in? Mr. Garcia, we're going to continue this item for 2 weeks. How long will that be, Mr. Clerk?
That brings us to December 9, sir.
Okay, and I'm going to and if you could explain to him that we'll get someone from Mr. Weezar's staff, if he would come over to my right towards the ropes, he can have a conversation with someone from Mr. Weezar's staff. Scott Watkins or Matkins, please come forward, sir.
I guess I didn't realize I was going to have a...
Speaking to the mic, sir. Can't hear you.
I apologize.
No problem.
And thanks for the presentation with the Williams. That was awesome. I'm just... there's a lien on my... You guys want to put a lien on my house.
What address, sir?
13025 Rose.
Mr. Bonin?
And
Okay,
that's
this is...
Los
so
Angeles.
your councilman, Mr. Bonin, has requested that your item be continued for 2 weeks.
Okay.
So that'll give you 2 weeks to have a conversation with Building and Safety or his office. So, Mr. Clerk, the continuance will take him until what day?
December 9, sir.
So you have until December 9th.
Okay.
Okay?
And for clarification, that's item 1I.
Item 1I, okay? So, Mr. Walsh has a minute, I'm told. And is this Miss Ramirez?
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org, J. Walsh Confidential. As you see here, when you get up here and come down here and protest the lien, what is going to happen is he's not going to come back in 2 weeks because the lien will be cut in half. That nobody comes here and complains once the city council cuts their lien in half. So what I'm saying to everybody is, if your name appears here and they're demanding money from you, if you get up and speak, that's the power of this microphone in front of you, they automatically send you to an aide of whatever city councilman you belong with, and then your lien is cut in half. That is, they don't seem to be saying any. When they say nothing, that means it's true. Like when I say the mayor is gay.
No, you're off subject. Miss Ramirez?
We demand that the city comply with its code enforcement standards, and that is, we demand all legal law-abiding citizens that the noise abatement and all violations and inspections be conducted, and we would like that to be done correctly, ethically, and legally and morally, city attorneys. And that means sticking these liens to these wetbacks and gangbangers. Wetbacks and gangbangers. They are the bulk of the criminals that...
No, that's not the subject. Stay on the subject.
We're talking about, again, who commits all the noise abatements and violations, toxic noise, toxic trash, all forms of violations in the community, the city, and that is the wetbacks and the gangbangers.
No, that's not on the topic.
Well, it is a subject, so I say stick it to these wetbacks and gangbangers.
No,
and all
thank
the
you,
you've
Miss
got,
Ramirez.
Los
Thank you. You're off
roll
topic.
Them out or deport them. Get them
Okay,
out of
so
here.
now if we could have Mr. Herman.
Challenge. What a challenge when you have no due process, no certified mail sent to Mr. Garcia or Mr. Scott, and you see the retaliatory action of this city to make more people homeless, cause more emotional harm, and it's a fucking joke. Give people a life in the city of Los Angeles and stop becoming like Mr. Bloomfield, a racist Jew who hates Mexicans.
No, you're
and
off.
blacks.
No. You're off
This has to
topic.
do with
Thank you, Mr. Herman. Thank you. Your time is expired. You're off topic. Shut him down, sergeants. You're off topic. Okay, let's prepare to vote on these items now. There are no more cards. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That brings us where, Mr. Clerk?
Mr. President, that brings council to general public comment for items not on today's agenda.
All right. Annie Gagan, Omar Baldwin, John Walsh, Eric Previn.
Hi, my name is Annie Gagan. I live in Hollywood. I'm here to first wish all of you happy Thanksgiving and that express our great gratitude to our new council member, David Rue, for all of his work. With all of the development boom, we are losing our historic resources, so I would like to thank all of our preservation organizations for all the hard work that they do. And the other issue that's been coming up to our neighborhood council is so many people are getting thrown out and Ellis acted out of their apartments for new developments and hotel conversions. And I think, since the mayor doesn't think that this is an emergency, I just would like to express to you, I think it's something close to our council members' heart, if there's anything that we can do within our districts, our neighborhood council members, what can we do? Can we be some small part of some solution to the problem? As the holidays approach, to see children on the lines for food, it's like watching newsreels from the Great Depression, and it's really weighing on many of our hearts. So I just want to wish you all a happy Thanksgiving, and thank you.
Thank you. So is it Mr. Baldwin, followed by Mr. Walsh, followed by Mr. Previn, followed by Mr. Oscar Mohammed? Yes, sir.
Hello, my name is Omar Baldwin. Peace is not a dream anymore. Peace is a political agenda that 100% of the population of the earth can approve. Peace is when we, as the people of a nation, come together with our government and handle business on a daily basis and at I'm in practice for this. But my name is Omar Baldwin. I'm founder and CEO of Peace Please nonprofit organization. What we do, we promote peace through arts-related events, activity, film, and music and dance. And we'd just like to say happy holidays and spread peace and love during the season of joy and peace.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Walsh, Mr. Previn, Mr. Muhammad.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. Mitch, you did a great job. We now realize dengue fever. I remember dengue fever from my 2 years living in Ethiopia. It was all over Ethiopia. And again, we're turning into a third world country. And the mosquito abatement organization, their money was stripped by CRA. We've got their money back. This is the #1 issue. It's going to bite both the poor, the rich, the black, the Hispanic, everybody. It'll be on my website. And as far as the SoCal Gas Company, a woman on TV said that her daughter, her 6-year-old daughter, has a nosebleed every day. But those white people didn't organize a month ago because they're white. Had it happened in a black or Hispanic neighborhood, they'd been poisoned. They would have organized the first day. Nothing wrong with being gay. Glenn Dake is the mayor's lover, and he's appointed him to the MWD.
Thank you, Mr. Previn, followed by Mr. Muhammad, followed by a Sylvie Shin, followed by a Mr. Barajas.
Good morning. It's Eric Previn, a county resident from the 3rd District and a 2nd District here in the city. Sir, I would ask on item 12, there's 66 Mills Act items. I would ask before the mayor finally signs that just to provide the underlying data on the spreadsheet because there was some confusion about those calculations. And sir, I must implore you to respect your constituents and, in fact, make us all visible. It's very strange when you watch a meeting on television. You can't see any of the other speakers. All we can see is you, sir, and whoever you've dubbed or tapped. It sends a terrible signal for the holidays. And I know that today, in the back, council members, you can all speak directly to Channel 35 and make some sort of a nice greeting, so enjoy that. You can line up and get some good coverage there. But it's inappropriate, sir. So really, do the best. Over the holidays, sir, why not take a moment, go for a walk with your team, and revise your thinking on this. I think many of your council members, if you consult with them, will agree that it's beyond the pale and appalling beyond belief. So we could go there soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mohammed, I think of Sylvie Sheehan, Brian Barajas, Jacqueline Richardson. Yes, sir.
Yes, my name is Oscar Muhammad. I speak for the oppressed, I speak for the struggling poor, and I speak for cultural change. This land would be a better land to live in if we can live by the Constitution that governs us. Grant money, program money, project money is unconstitutional. We should end this political system, the way we run in America today. We should end capitalist government. The rich people ride the backs of the poor people. We should have fair share instead of some damn minimum wages. We should end police brutality. We should end police misconduct. The news media give misconceptions of many religions of our Islamic religion. But we see the three major religions in the world is Christianity, Judeo-Christianity, and Islam, but the media give Islam the worst. We should end the homeless downtown Skid Row. We see there's no hope for the homeless downtown Skid Row on what they call 5th Street. There is too much territory that is untamed. We should remove the homeless far from downtown Los Angeles.
Thank you. Okay, so do I have Ms. Sheehan, I think?
It's Sylvie Shane.
Okay.
Good morning, honorable council members. I wanted to take this opportunity in honor of Thanksgiving to thank Councilmember Rue for the tremendous work he's been doing, listening to the voices of the community. You're so often told when you're not doing things right, and so I wanted to recognize that you are, in fact, listening to us, and we really appreciate it. There are a lot of problems to solve within our district and the city. I look forward to being a party to a lot of those conversations, and thank you, and I encourage you all to do the great work that the city needs. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming down. Okay, Mr. Barajas, Jacqueline Richardson, Ms. Ramirez, please come forward.
So, on LaRouchePAC.com, we have put out a statement. LaRouche, Obama organized an act of war. Now, I'm pretty sure people have seen the reports of a Russian jet aircraft being taken down. If there was ever a period where we are closer to World War III, that should be a perfect indicator. I know that the Russians are moving in to amp up their ability to wipe out ISIS. Obviously, Putin has made the comment that Turkey is a sponsor of the terror network itself, and along with obviously Obama. Now, this is the problem with this country. We are on the verge of World War III, and yet people stick by and say that's not happening. It's not happening. It is happening.
Thank you. So if I could have Ms. Richardson, Ms. Ramirez, and Mr. Herman.
I have three items to address. People in Calabasas are harassing and violently harassing some people in Los Angeles by wireless means. These people are getting paid for it. Central Division knows about it. And between 2001 and 2005, or thereabout, the Los Angeles Times reported that the city of Los Angeles was writing false background information on some of its employees. I believe some of these employees were Russian people and included the police department and other city personnel, but the article didn't say who the people were, where they were from, or anything about their background information. That was my assumption. Article number 3, it was this coming Monday, that the Santa Monica Police Department was called to a black woman's house. She reported some kind of break-in, and in response, the Santa Monica Police Department sent 19 officers out to her house. They didn't understand anything she said, and nothing got resolved.
Thank you.
These people.
Thank you. So if I could have Ms. Ramirez and Mr. Herman.
Please stop funding these bogus nonprofit organizations who are deliberately and maliciously sending blacks, wetbacks, and Chango Latino gangbangers and white trash to gang stalk innocent law-abiding people. That's why most of us victims are homeless. These bogus and criminal gang stalking organizations are the following: Hispanic Caucus, Mecha, Maldef, Los Amigos, Hermanidad Mexicana, all Central American organizations, the Chango La Piñón with Monica Lozano, ACLU, Legal Aid, Public Law Center, the State Bar, NAACP, Black Panthers, Black Caucus, Kamala Harris, Department of Justice, Loretta Lynch, United States Attorney General, Jackie Lacey, District Attorney of Los Angeles, who are implementing the double standard with no ethics and no integrity, and the Tia Tacos, Loretta and Linda Sanchez's. And please stop rewarding and stop funding all these jealous, nosy, hate-mongering wetbacks and Chango Latino thieves and pussies. And I wish them a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Herman.
Such great intensifiers, Mr. City Attorney. In order to get a point across, we use intensifiers to rule out the criminal element on the war against political corruption, such as with Mr. Mitch Englander, who's running for county supervisor, who never sits in his fucking seat to listen to the public, but he wants to be a county supervisor. So vote no for Mitch Englander. And then I turn around to this side, and Jose Weezer is gone because $100 million can't be spent on fucking homeless people. What's wrong with you people? And you're going to parade around Happy Thanksgiving? Shove your economical Thanksgiving where the sun don't shine. Because the bottom line is this. Why? Why at a time when people are dying in our street that are homeless, that deserve not just a meal, but a real home, Mr. Herb Wesson? Stop being a racist against Hispanics and blacks.
Thank you. That concludes general public comment. Mr. Clerk, what's before this body?
Council has motions for posting and referral.
Consider them posted and referred. Announcements are next. Members, do not forget, I believe we still have in the press room Channel 35 that will do your council minute. If you want to deliver a message to your constituents or just something as simple as wishing them a happy holiday, please take advantage of that situation. Any other announcements, members? Any other announcements? Seeing none, if all would please rise. Please rise for adjourning motions. I will be turning to my left. Mr. Harris Dawson.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair and members. I am saddened to say that a true champion of our criminal justice system and that put great emphasis on the justice part, Judge Ellen DeShazer of the Los Angeles Superior Court, passed away this past weekend after a prolonged illness. Born in Wisconsin and moving around to Detroit and then Houston, she eventually landed in Los Angeles, where she worked in the entertainment industry at a different point in time as a ring girl, carrying around the ring, the round number, and she even did so for a Muhammad Ali fight against Jimmy Ellis. After living in Los Angeles for a while, she took advantage of our great community college system at West LA College, then went on to Cal State Dominguez Hills, and then on to Glendale University College of Law. She became a clerk in the Attorney General's office and passed the state bar at the age of 44. After being admitted to the bar, she continued to work for the state's Attorney General for a year and was a deputy district attorney until 1984 when she became a court commissioner. She began her career on the bench officially in 1989 and was being appointed as a municipal court judge after being a commissioner. She held that position until 1995 when then Governor Pete Wilson appointed her to the Compton Municipal Judgeship. In Compton, she helped establish the drug court system, and that was wildly successful. And she went on in the year 2000 to help California figure out the implementation of Prop 36, a treatment-based system for drug offenders in our state. She was an avid supporter of those who came before her and took advantage of the help offered via drug courts and Proposition 36. She followed up to support all who earn their way to recovery and being a productive member of society. She formally took over the drug court in 2001. Just always described by those who came before her as very tough but fair. She was a big believer in the justice part of the justice system and did so much to help people move from low points in their lives back to being productive members of society. And so we ask the city and this council to adjourn in the memory of Judge Ellen DeShazer.
Perfect example of American success story. I mean, really. Any other, Mr. Bonin?
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I'd like to adjourn today in memory of Monsignor Gabriel Gonzalez. His congregation in Westchester and Playa del Rey at St. Anastasia's Church is in mourning. He died very suddenly at age 57 on November 9th. He was a beloved son, brother, and pastor, and was the former vicar for clergy for the Archdiocese of Los Angeles. He had been at St. Anastasia's Catholic school and church pastor for a number of years. Even though he was a Monsignor, they called him Father Gabe. He lived in Southern California his entire life, and he began serving at St. Anastasia's about 5 years ago. He was a native of Culver City and was previously pastor at Sacred Heart Parish in Los Angeles. He also served as the vicar for clergy office in the Archdiocese from 2003 until 2009. He was an avid Dodger fan, a master of the barbecue, a talented mariachi singer, and a traveler who went to Mexico, Costa Rica, Colombia, Italy, France, Spain, Belgium, Portugal, and Australia. But one of his favorite trips was he led a pilgrimage to Lourdes in 2014. He often told his congregants that his favorite priest was Damien of Molokai, who ministered to the quarantine victims of Hansen's disease or leprosy on the island of Molokai in Hawaii before dying of the disease himself. Father Gabe often said he admired Father Damien's genuine concern and devotion to his parishioners, and in the wake of his sudden death, his parishioners have all told me that that's a devotion to them that he demonstrated all the time. May he rest in peace.
Now I'm going to look to my right side. I don't see any adjourning motions. Members, have a good Thursday, and we will see you next week. This meeting's adjourned.